Welcome back to Kitchen Chemistry. I'm your host, Shania Williams. As a treat from me to you, I will be teaching you how to make a face wash from scratch. Just a little bit about me. I am a cosmetic chemist. I have my BS in chemistry. I've been in the cosmetic industry over 10 plus years. I've been on the side of the bench. I've been an auditor. I can make pretty much anything, especially in personal care. My specialty is skincare, OTC skincare, not pharmaceuticals. So just want to give you a little background. So let's get started. So within a facial wash or any natural or organic facial wash, we're going to do a very beginner basic facial wash. We're going to start off, of course, with distilled water and aloe vera. The importance of a facial wash is the water, is the solvent, right? Because that's, we're 80% water. Unless it's just a anhydrous formula, which is an oil-based, no hydrous, no water present. This, however, will be technically a hydrous formula, therefore having a pH, and we'll talk more about pH when we get back to it. Always have your formula near you, somewhere near you, so you can check it off, whatever that you're doing. So let me take some of this out. This is why I like working by a sink, because I do use disposable pipettes. And with disposable pipettes, it's very easy, just kind of toss it in the sink. So you aren't reusing the same pipettes. It's very easy to put one down and then cross-contaminate. So then next we're going to be doing some aloe vera juice. And this is 15 grams. Oh, let me mark that down. So we're actually doing this live. Actually, it's a little more water. And that's another thing too. The only time you could do this is when you're doing it with water. And there's one pipette in the sink and you know it's your water. So, and the sink is clean. It has to be completely clean. GMP certified. The kitchen will never be GMP certified. That was just joke. Okay. Dispose of the pipette. Get the right cap for the water. Let's put this back over here. Here's the cap. Then you record that down. Even if you go over, I like to go a little bit over as long as I'm staying within the actual number and gram of it. And then I'm going to tear my scale and measure out my aloe vera juice. The reason why aloe vera juice would be considered part of my water phase is just because it's over 10% in the formula. So I consider it within as a solvent as well, on top of being a skin conditioning agent, excuse me. A lot of people start off with their washes with hydrosols, but I just prefer water just to keep it simple. So then you guys at home can actually try this for yourselves. Like I said, I like to go a little bit over. That's perfect. Toss it. Record it. Just so you know what you did, just in case anything goes wrong. The importance of recording every measurement, every step that you took within the formula is so that you recall just in case you get success. And also, if you don't get a success, you don't repeat those trials. So next, we're going to move on to our humectant, which is glycerin, very common in the cosmetic industry and pretty much any product. And so the trick is when you're doing the pipette, it's a little trick, it's a little trick. You cut the pipette top off just because glycerin is such a thick liquid. You'll get so many air bubbles trying to measure out. It'll take you forever, essentially, to measure out glycerin. So I'm going to get all my glycerin in here for the amount for the formula, what it calls for. And then I'm going to teach you how to also squeeze the pipette. When pipetting, getting any liquid, getting any type of raw material out of its original container, you want to make sure you squeeze all the air out first, then dip your pipette in, and then squeeze up to get the raw material within the pipette. And of course, I'm doing all this on the scale. This is just because this is a water phase So I don't need to continually mix. And then here I'm going to just, well, I'm not going to do it in here because then I pull over. In the original container, squeeze, 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 just so we're not wasting any raw materials. We're not wasteful over here, right? No. Let me just record this. And also you want to make sure that you're putting your time and date, start time, finish time, for any formula, just so you know how long it takes you. You want to be exact with everything. Now I'm about to start off my electric stir, so I could just get the water moving. And I'll show you guys that in a moment. Give me 1 second. And here's that water phase mixing on its own. I got this overhead mixer back in 2020 right off of Amazon, guys. So don't think this is like you have to have a certain license number or something to get this equipment. You can literally purchase it, and in one of my videos in the courses, I teach you how to assemble it as well. So here's the water mixing and flowing. I want to make sure everything is being moved. Here's my RPM. This is not a vortex. I don't need it to be a vortex just because this is a facial wash. I don't want to create bubbles. So let's move on to our surfactant phase, aka the suds. Okay, so for our surfactants, aka the suds, I'll be using distilled glucoside as my main surfactant, which is a gentle cleanser, and then to get some extra foaming action on top of that, CAPB, also known as cocamidopropyl bentane. So let's measure that out. I usually try to put anything that's less than the water in a smaller beaker, just so you can actually get everything out of it. And don't mind, I have a really good pouring hand. I've been doing this for some time. And just a trick also, if you find that your scale is a little uneven, just go ahead and recalibrate it, just so you know you're getting accurate measurements, because that can be a big pain in the behind as far as having a really great formula and then you making it 100 times and 101 time, it just doesn't work out. And it can be the smallest things, from just environment through calibration of instruments, scaling, all that jazz. So I'm almost at my, there we go. A little off, but still within the gram of what is needed. And then I tear again. And then this one I'm going to use a pipette just because it's such a loose material, so easily to get. Let me reset my scale. I may actually have to get another scale because, like I said, you don't want any inaccurate measurements. Go ahead and put this in. Now, I usually typically always start with whichever is the most in the phase. So what we have mixing, which you hear now, mixing is our water phase, and this is what we call our surfactant phase. And any restaurant usually has things prepared and prepped, like vegetables cut, dough, whatever it may be. No, not dough, but just things in that manner, to avoid and cut down time as far as making people wait for food. So as you just saw now, I'm putting in my fragrance, and you're probably wondering, why are you putting the fragrance in the surfactants? Well, that's just because one of my surfactants is a solubilizer, basically taking oil-based products and making it easier to disperse in water. And now we're mixing that, and then how I can ensure its solubility, I also add polysorbate 20. This is and this is pure and organic. This is a solubilizer, another thick solubilizer. So anything thick, we gotta cut with scissors. Then we get our scale. And I put this in this formula just in case when it scales up, the larger amounts of fragrance You want to make sure that the fragrance when scaled up can easily be dispersed, that's oil-based, into the water phase. So now we have our surfactant all mixed up. We are going to slowly pour this into the water phase now. You want to do it on very, very low shear just because you want to avoid making any type of bubbles or any type of foaming. If you do, it's okay. You just have to wait for bubbles to arise, but you don't want to make too much of a mess. Making sure that you're scraping all the sides of the beaker. And I recommend only using glass or stainless steel or copper components or vessels to make any type of skincare product. Plastic is just a no-no, especially with water products. A lot of contamination. So we're going to let that mix evenly, and then we're going to move on to, like I said, our veggies, our prep veggies, aka our xanthan gum, 2%. This is 2% xanthan gum solution. This is the thickener. If you don't want your face washes to be simply like just straight liquid. So this is 2% of xanthan gum powder sprinkled into 98 grams of water that was on high RPM, high shear. I hydrated this for an hour and 15 minutes. Xanthan gum has to be hydrated in order not to clump up and get what we call fish eyes, which is not dissolved or fully hydrated xanthan gum. So with your surfactants, you also want to make sure that you're staying underneath the active surfactant matter percentage. Each product, body product, has its own level and percentage. For face wash, it has to be underneath 10%, and the pH for this product has to be between 5.5 to 6.5, not near 7, because then that's alkaline. We want to make sure that we are a little acidic just because that's our natural skin pH. Okay, so now we're going to measure out our xanthan gum according to the calculations to make sure it is enough to where we get just a right amount of thickness, within the formula. So now we are going to add our thickener to both phases that are here in the beaker, still at low shear. You don't want to overdo it because, like I said, you could create bubbles. This is going in beautifully. We're going to let this hydrate and mix by itself. You could also hand mix this too if you don't have an electric stir, just to make sure everything is uniformed and even. And then we're going to go in with our extracts, which is what I like to call the sprinkles, the toppings of the sundae, aka the formula. I have witch hazel, green tea. I do have a micro in here just to prevent any type of growth because, like I said, this is water-based where things could live. A ginseng extract, and just because I'm using a lot of this green tea extract, it's going to be a little bit dark. I'm going to go in with a pearlizer and also some phenoxyethanol SA as a preservative. So I'll be right back. Give it some time. Okay, so now we are adding what I like to call the toppings on the sundae, which is our extracts. As you can see, there was no heat to this formula, so it's not really a hard formula, very beginner friendly. Let's add some ginseng, tear that. And then we'll add our pearlizer, just so we can get rid of this dark color from the green tea, just so it's like, appealing to the eye. Even though this is just for me. We'll be using this bubble wash pearlizer. And then once again, since it's such a thick, gonna have to cut. And then remember, squeeze out. Then it'll be helpful if I put it on the scale, right, and tear it. But remember always to squeeze all the air out of your pipette, then insert, and then slowly let go. Pull out, let it drip. This is perfect. This is just the right amount. So I'm about to add this in here all the way, squeezing my pipette all the way down. Thank God for gloves. And then we're gonna let this mix until it becomes a nice creamy golden color. And then we're gonna finish it up with our preservatives and micro. So at the end, you'll get a beautiful pearlized facial wash. Be sure to always check the pH. Like I said, this is going to be an alkaline product, so in order to bring that pH down, you definitely want to put citric acid in it, which is a 50% citric acid, meaning that this is 50 grams of citric acid and 50 grams of distilled water mixed into the citric acid is dissolved. This should be in an amber bottle. Keep out of sunlight. Don't be like me. Do as I say, not as I do. And this will continue to mix. It will thicken. Your facial wash will thicken over the next 24 to 48 hours. You can adjust the thickener, how much, depending on to your liking. You should always have a pH meter or the strips. At least the strips work just fine off of Amazon. I don't think you can use the full strips. Just get regular pH strips or have your meter. Personally, I like to do dual action, one analytical, one technical. So this is technically an analytical instrument. A technical will be the paper, just so you can double test your results. So you're not just getting one reading, you know, human error, it happens. This is still mixing and it's coming together beautifully. Once you're done creating your product and it's thoroughly mixed, go ahead and keep it in its beaker. Yes, it's face wash. Keep it in its beaker. Seal it, cover it, leave it overnight. Poke holes in it and make sure you come back to it in the morning. If you want to learn how to make your own products more in detail, I am hosting an 8-week course with different tiers. Tier 1 is for basically the on-the-go person. This is just more so of a hobby. You'll have access to all the lessons. Tier 2, you have access to community. You get a copy of my free ebook. You get a live free Q&A at the end of each week before your quiz, just in case you want to clarify some things. Tier 3 is everything included in Tier 1 and 2, plus an exclusive class taught by Nikita Wilson on hair physiology. I do have a discount for all students. If you enjoyed this free course, go over to my 8-week course and choose a tier that fits best for you. All right, happy holidays. Bye.